Carlsen, who is playing on board 1 against LIREN. I check on b4 line, the same line Karyakin was playing against whom it was. I don't remember. Karyakin gave this check on b4. Remember, he made the draw. I think once again against LIREN. Was it the same? So. Yeah, it feels like it was the same player, LIREN, to make a to play this c5, bishop b2, exactly the same line.
I'm feeling like they already played each other this position.
Yeah, so that's the first deviation from a previous game where Karyakin has played knight c6 against LIREN. Magnus goes for knight to d7. a3, bishop has to take on d2, and knight takes on d2, opening the diagonal for a bishop on g2, so that the pawn on d5 is still pinned. Magnus quickly takes on d4. Let's see, I think we will get one of those simplified symmetrical positions which seem to be drawish, but we've seen everything. We've seen, well, if you just think the position Magnus won against Mamedyarov, right, when it was clear he was slightly worse, but I mean, if anything, it could have been a draw, but no one could imagine that this position is possible to lose with white. Okay, let's see what happens here. Meanwhile, we will keep an eye on Anand and Karyakin as well. Because, as I said, only 4 rounds to go, and a tie is in favor of Magnus Carlsen. Right?
I have already result on the second board. I don't know how correct is it.
It's a draw? Or? Yeah, I mean, it cannot be anything but a draw. So I'll just quickly open the... Karyakin offered the draw early in... well, it was a Berlin with rook e1, which already has kind of a very drawish reputation, and Karyakin offered the draw quite early, which was accepted by Vishy Anand. So I think, that's a very, very important game. If Magnus wins, he becomes the sole leader with 3 rounds to go. So, Queen e7 was played, and white went rook c1. Magnus fell below on the clock quite a bit, almost a minute difference for him and LIREN. And still the situation is not very comfortable for Magnus Carlsen, because his bishop on b7 is still not protected, therefore he cannot solve the tension in the center. He can never take on c4, that's the problem. Well, on the other hand, it's not obvious how white is planning to continue. Is there moves like e4? Not really. Not really. Well, white also has some, queen b3. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, that white wants to move the queen, but after queen b3, dc4 is actually possible. dc4 is possible, which Magnus immediately plays. Bishop takes g2, king takes g2. Still a bit more space, a bit more pleasant position for white. I mean, at least it looks like. Any results somewhere?
Not really.
Not really, maybe...
Not even...
No, so that was only one game, yes? It looks like it was only one very quick game. Karyakin and Anand make it... well, some pins. e5, queen e6. The knight on c4 is no longer safe. Now the feeling is like you play a move like h6 maybe, because already some back rank threats. Knight to f8 played by Magnus Carlsen, using the fact that white cannot take on e5, or he can. Well, rook takes. Can't bishop just take on e5? Well,
b5?
And then b5 happens. Yeah. b5 happens, and what's important, after bishop f6, black has b takes c4.
Yeah, with a tempo.
Queen goes to f3, rook to c8. Once again, e5 pawn is a taboo, and it feels really awkward to move the knight back. Well, I think Magnus managed to equalize. So now the feeling is like white will have to move the knight to e3 maybe. I mean, just if you have to go back with the knight, that means black is doing fine. Still no move from LIREN, and they're almost equal on the clock, so exchange of rooks happens. e4, queen goes to f4, queen a2. Where the queen is going.
Unpleasant hanging on e2.
Yeah. That's queen a2 is quite an awkward move to face because e2 pawn is hanging. King f1 you probably don't like. Queen to c7, queen takes e2, queen takes a7. Now, well, Magnus, I mean, his queen side pawns are falling. He has, you know what, he has knight d5 if he wants a draw. Knight d5, when knight takes its perpetual check from f3, d1, and in case of king h3 from h5. But he's looking for more, I believe, h5. So making a lift for the king, then knight comes to g6. He's trying for an attack, which is quite logical.
Also, h4 can be very unpleasant at some point.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why h5 not h6, right? So that he at some point he wants to play h4, open the king. So he's putting a bet on that he's say he's not worse. He will always have a chance for perpetual, and he's trying to play for more. And now everything will be decided on last seconds, right? It's 40, well, almost equal time. And after some consideration, LIREN decided to take the pawn on b6, h4. h4. I'm yet to see what happens after gh4. Apparently knight goes to g6. Queen c6. Queen c6. And the b pawn will start moving, you know. The b pawn will start moving. Magnus better make sure that he has a perpetual, because knight g4 attacking the pawn on f2.
He wants to trade knights, and when the knights are off the board, then
then of course he wants
white has
h3,
lots
right?
of problems after h3.
Takes, queen takes, then queen f3 is an option as well.
Queen
and h3.
c3.
h3 is a threat, right?
All right.
Queen c3. He will have h3. King
King
f1
f1
will be needed. Check from d1. You know, queen e1,
e1.
queen f3. Maybe he will be in time to take the pawn on h2. Queen c4. So that means LIREN
He
is
wants
ready.
to come up from f1.
He will go to g1 and h3 of course will be played. Knight goes to g6. So now this knight starts
comes
jumping.
on e5 and f3, or from h4 maybe.
Knight e5. Now queen f1 is the only move. Right. But does Magnus have... I mean, I don't see what he has here. Because, I mean, it looks very awkward. Looks very awkward. Yeah, and he was about to drop this pawn, and he comes back with the knight. And it turns out he doesn't have any threats. He doesn't have any threats. Okay, knight c4. But what's the threat? Threat is to give a check and to take on e3, right? He's still... Yeah, well, knight e3, queen e6. Well, not so much time left. Queen to b3. Well, still the king is weak, so there are chances. Queen takes a4, queen b1, queen to c4, queen a5, and he wants queen d2. b6, queen to d2.
Queen f1 is only move.
Queen f1 is only move. Now
Check.
Magnus certainly has the perpetual. He can try for more, and he does. Queen c5, so queen f2 is met with e3. He might be winning in this one as well.
It's e2 and e1 can
e2,
stop.
well, and now he can take. Now he can take, next move being queen b... well, queen b1 is tricky, it is a draw, interestingly enough, yeah? If the queens are swapped, it is a draw. No, queen e4 is, of course, convincing move. Now, no doubt Magnus is winning objectively, so he decides to simplify the position, takes the pawn on h2. Now some threats of perpetual check. Some threats of perpetual check. Well, I'm not sure about Magnus's decision to simplify, to be honest. Not sure at all. A check given. Now king g3, a check, king h4, and white
h2.
will be... h2. And how about perpetual check? There is no check.
No, because e4 square is taken by g2.
There is no check on e4. Well, what a game. What a game. I believe at some point he really took too much risk, and he was apparently in danger of losing, but the end of the day, Magnus Carlsen has won his game in round 17, right? It was round 17.
No? 18.
18, yeah. Well, I still cannot count
so many
properly.
rounds.
Cannot count properly. Whatever, 3 rounds left, and he's the sole leader again with an incredible score. So today it's been 7 rounds. And he has scored 6.5 out of 7.
It's his day today.
It's his day today, it seems. Well, but we will see what will happen in those last 3 rounds. Kyriakis